Our group chose to read Finding Joy in Teaching Students of Diverse Backgrounds. The book consists of interviews from teachers that provide a look into teaching students of diverse backgrounds. The book is divided into 3 parts, with 11 chapters in all. Part 1 explores the current landscape of public education. Part 2 highlights the profiles of thriving teachers. And Part 3 looks at the lessons learned and issues a call to action for teachers not only to enact culturally responsive values in the classroom, but also to personally and publicly live the values of social justice. The 3 parts together give a central message of how teachers who work with diverse students can find joy and thrive while growing professionally and developing vital knowledge and characteristics of culturally responsive pedagogy.
New insights gained. What surprised me when I read this book? Even though I knew this book had 22 interviews with a variety of teachers, I was still surprised by each one of their stories. Each teacher provided their own personal insight to diversity in the classroom and portrayed to us the different ways they have overcome diversity in their own classrooms. This book was not only about diversity, but it was also about how teaching is a life of service. It is about getting to know each of the students in your classroom on a more personal level. So you not only create a level of trust with them, but also are able to include their culture into your classroom. What did I learn that I did not know before? We learned about President Obama's program called Race to the Top. This program supported the education reform and innovation in state and local district education. We also learned that the reason pedagogy is socially just and the ideology and the purpose behind it, which can be broken down into 3 things: what the teacher believes a student deserves, what they believe a student is capable of learning, and what ends will the teacher go to make sure the student accomplish their goals. There's a quote that goes along with this that is found on page 117 in the book.
The question states, what are some instructional practices or activities that the author recommends that I like? My response was that I really like how the author mentions the importance of cultivating allies. Page 152 states, to thrive and grow, teachers need to develop allies. My many years of working with teachers have shown me that when they develop allies, they remain fresh, committed, hopeful, and caring. And I cannot agree more with this statement. It takes a community to help in educating children. There are strengths and weaknesses to every teacher, new and veterans. It's going to be important, especially as upcoming first-year teachers, to make sure that we are developing allies. Teaching can be overwhelming in a high-stress job, so why not build strong relationships with people who are going through the same exact thing and help one another? My mentor teacher from my second placement this semester actually told me on my last day that having a strong system in place with your grade level teachers is very key to having a successful school year. She has been teaching for over 20 years, and she shared some of the best years she remembers is when her fellow grade level teachers worked really well together, fed off one another, and just overall had a very strong alliance.
Okay, so my name is Hannah, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about the application to the classroom section. One of the questions that was asked was, how do I plan to apply my learning from this book to future placements or in my own classroom? And one of my biggest takeaways from reading through this book is getting to know your students. This is such a powerful tool that you should use to your own advantage. And as the book simply states it on page 92, it says, getting to know one's students, who they are, what they know and need to know, their dreams and hopes, their struggles and frustrations, their strengths and talents. It is also nurturing students' dreams and helping them create a vision for their future. I think that this creates the needed bond of trust between student and teacher. So not only should you be getting to know your students, but you should also be proactive in letting your students get to know you. So allowing yourself to be vulnerable with your students makes that shared bond that much more powerful in the classroom setting. Students come from all different backgrounds and cultures, so it's important to get to know them on a personal level so that we can truly welcome and include our students into our safe space of learning.
Challenges posed by the book. How did the book challenge what we thought we already knew about teaching and/or diverse learners? We knew that a part of teaching was getting to know your students, but after reading this book, it challenged our understanding of this. We want to get to know our students, figure out their interests, to create that level of trust, but it is also about learning about their culture. What makes each student who they are? I think once you figure this out, you will not only be able to create a better learning atmosphere for them, but also implement activities or things throughout the year in your classroom to welcome the diversity in your classroom.
So I'm going to be talking about why each of us have chosen this book for this class. So although we all chose the same book, we all chose it with different intentions and ideas in mind as to why we wanted to read it. For Kelsey, she said she chose the book because of the 2130 education course we had to take, which was about diversity, and she really liked that class, so she thought this would be great to build onto that. For Michaelin, she chose the book because when she read the summary about it, she was really intrigued by all of the teacher interviews that happened throughout the book, and she wanted to see the different teachers' perspectives about diversity in their own classrooms. For Hannah, she chose the book because she thought it would be insightful and interesting to hear from the different teachers and how their perspectives were on diversity, and she really likes the idea of being able to apply those in her own classroom. For me, Grace Childers, I really wanted to read it because in my personal educational experience, I didn't experience much diversity in my own classrooms that I learned in. So I really wanted to try to enrich my own learning and responses to diversity and how to appropriately convey those in my classroom. So that's why I chose it. For Abby, she said that in light of what's going on in the world right now, she thought this book would be a really good choice to figure out how teachers are reacting in their classrooms to different things like what we are experiencing nowadays. So although we all had different intentions as to why we wanted to read this book, it was a great way to really bring us together and share our own ideas and question our own values and beliefs and how we want to encourage and appreciate the different cultures and diversities that we experience in our classrooms, and we all agree that we all feel super enriched after being able to read this book and discuss it together.